The wind howled like a wounded beast as Kieran Jensen stumbled through knee-deep snow, each labored breath crystallizing instantly in the brutal cold. His emergency beacon had been broadcasting for 36 hours since his research vessel crashed on this uncharted ice planet. The survival suit was failing, its heating elements flickering as battery power dwindled. "Just keep moving," Kieran muttered through chattering teeth. He'd survived 3 military tours and countless exploration missions, but this frozen hell might finally claim him. His legs moved mechanically, each step heavier than the last as the blizzard intensified. The scanner on his wrist beeped weakly, an anomalous energy reading ahead. Hope or hallucination, it didn't matter. It was his only option. The storm's intensity doubled as if actively fighting his progress, ice crystals slicing at any exposed skin. His vision narrowed, darkness creeping in from the edges. Then, impossibly, a figure materialized through the whiteout. Tall and graceful, wrapped in flowing garments that barely moved despite the raging storm. Kieran blinked, certain his oxygen-starved brain was creating fantasies before death. "Hello?" His voice was barely audible above the howling wind. The figure approached with inhuman grace, and Kieran felt his body sway. Up close, he saw luminescent amber eyes set in a face of breathtaking alien beauty. "You are dying," she stated, her voice somehow clear despite the storm. "Come." She extended long, elegant fingers toward him. Kieran hesitated for only a moment before accepting her hand. Warmth unlike anything he'd felt before coursed through him, not just physical heat but something deeper, as if she'd touched his very essence. "Who?" he began, but consciousness was slipping. "I am Nilith," she answered, supporting his weight effortlessly. "And you are very far from home, human." The journey was a blur. Kieran remembered being half-carried, half-guided through impossible passages that seemed to appear and disappear within the ice itself. Then suddenly, blessed warmth enveloped him as they entered a chamber that defied explanation. The walls shimmered with an inner light, curved and organic yet clearly constructed. At the center burned a hearth containing flames in colors he'd never seen before, deep blues and violets dancing with gold. The heat penetrated his frozen body, painful at first as sensation returned to numbed extremities. "Drink this," Nilith commanded, pressing a vessel of swirling liquid to his lips. The fluid tasted of spices unknown to human palates, burning pleasantly down his throat and spreading vitality through his limbs. As his faculties returned, Kieran studied his rescuer properly. Nilith moved with liquid grace, her form both familiar and alien, humanoid but with subtle differences in proportion and movement. Her skin held a faint golden luminescence, and when she turned toward the strange fire, he could see patterns beneath the surface, like circuitry or veins of precious metal. "You're not human," he stated unnecessarily. Very observant, she replied with the hint of a smile. "And you are not supposed to be on this world." "Crashed," Kieran explained, finding his voice stronger. "Research mission. We were mapping the outer systems when something hit us." He looked around the chamber. "This place, it's not a natural formation." "No," Nilith confirmed, kneeling gracefully beside him. "This is my observation post." "You're studying the planet?" Her amber eyes fixed on him with unnerving intensity. "I was. Now I find myself studying you." Kieran felt a strange flutter in his chest that had nothing to do with his recent brush with death. "I should transmit to my people. They'll be searching." "Your communications can't penetrate this storm," she interrupted. "And your people won't find you unless I wish it." That statement should have alarmed him, but there was something in her voice, not threatening, merely matter-of-fact. "Then I guess I'm at your mercy," Kieran said, attempting humor despite his situation. Nilith's lips curved into a smile that transformed her alien features into something stunning. "Yes, human. For now, you are." Kieran awoke on a bed of shimmering material that conformed perfectly to his body. The chamber glowed with soft ambient light despite no visible source. His survival suit had been removed, replaced by a lightweight garment of unfamiliar fabric. "You're awake," Nilith observed, appearing soundlessly beside him. "Your vital signs have stabilized." "How long was I out?" Kieran asked, sitting up cautiously. 3 orbital cycles, she replied, offering him a bowl containing a steaming liquid. "Drink. It will help restore your strength." The broth was rich and complex, filling him with renewed vigor. Kieran noticed how Nilith's eyes tracked his movements with analytical precision. "So what exactly are you doing on this frozen rock?" he asked, setting down the empty bowl. "Observation and research," she said, her golden-flecked skin catching the light as she moved. "This world sits at an interesting cosmic junction." "And what species are you?" "I've encountered 14 different sentient races during my exploration career, but none like you." Nilith tilted her head, studying him. "We call ourselves the Luminari. Your kind has not officially encountered us yet. Yet you speak perfect standard," Kieran noted. "Languages are simple patterns," she replied with a dismissive gesture. "I learned yours while you slept." Kieran stood, testing his recovered strength. The chamber was larger than he'd initially realized, with multiple alcoves and passages leading deeper into whatever structure housed them. "This is more than just an observation post," he said. Nilith moved closer, close enough that he could feel a strange energy emanating from her skin. "Perceptive. It is a node point, a nexus of study across multiple dimensions." "And am I just another specimen now?" Kieran asked, suddenly aware of their proximity and his body's unexpected response to it. Her amber eyes locked with his. "You are unexpected. An anomaly in my research." Something in her voice changed, a subtle shift that sent heat coursing through him. When she reached out to touch his face, her fingers left trails of warmth unlike anything he'd experienced. "Your physiological responses are fascinating," she murmured, but there was more than scientific curiosity in her expression. "Is this part of your research?" Kieran asked, his voice rougher than intended. "Perhaps we are researching each other," Nilith replied, her lips curving into a smile. Later, as they shared another meal, Kieran noticed how the strange fire in the hearth seemed to pulse in rhythm with Nilith's movements. "The flames, they're connected to you somehow," he observed. She nodded. "My people manipulate energy at its fundamental level. What you call fire is merely one manifestation." "And that's how you survived the storm?" "By manipulating energy?" "The storm is partly my creation," she admitted. "A deterrent to keep others away while I work." Kieran processed this information. "So you're not just stranded here like me. You can leave any time." "Yes," she confirmed, moving closer again. "And now I must decide what to do with you." The tension between them was palpable, electric. When she leaned toward him, Kieran found himself drawn to her alien beauty, both familiar and exotic. "What are your options?" he asked, voice low. "I could return you to your people," she said, her fingers tracing patterns on his arm that left trails of pleasurable warmth. "I could keep you for extended study." Her eyes met his with unmistakable heat. Or perhaps something in between. Kieran reached out, hesitantly touching the luminescent patterns beneath her skin. "I think I might need extensive study." Nilith's smile was both predatory and alluring. "Then let us begin the next phase of research, human." As her lips met his, Kieran knew he'd never experienced anything like this before, alien yet irresistible, dangerous yet thrilling. Whatever came next would change everything. The strange, iridescent walls of Nilith's chamber shifted constantly, like watching oil on water. Kieran traced the patterns with his fingertips as Nilith emerged from one of the hidden passages, her movements fluid and hypnotic. "Your recovery exceeds expected parameters," she said, approaching with a device that resembled a crystalline tablet. Most humans would still be suffering cellular damage. Maybe I'm special, Kieran replied with a half-smile. Yes, Nilith agreed without humor. That is precisely why I saved you. His instincts sharpened. What do you mean? Nilith activated the device, projecting a three-dimensional scan of his body, complete with glowing points throughout his nervous system. Your genetic structure contains anomalies not present in standard human genomic patterns. That's impossible, Kieran said, staring at the projection. I've undergone full military and space agency screenings. Your technology is limited. Her fingers passed through the hologram, highlighting clusters in his brain and spine. These neural formations suggest your species may be evolving faster than projected. Kieran's military training kicked in. Information was always valuable, especially when others wanted it. And why would the Luminari care about human evolution? Because we have been watching your kind for millennia, she answered, moving closer until he could feel that strange energy emanating from her skin. Waiting to see if you would become worthy of contact. Her proximity clouded his judgment, the subtle scent of her like nothing earthly, metallic yet organic, intoxicating. When her hand touched his chest, warmth spread through him like liquid fire. So I'm a lab rat? He asked, fighting the distraction of her touch. You are much more, Nilith whispered, her amber eyes darkening. You are proof. Their lips met again, more urgent this time. Kieran felt energy passing between them, as if she absorbed something from him while giving something back, an exchange more intimate than physical touch. Later, as they lay intertwined on the strange, adaptive bed, Kieran noticed new patterns beneath Nilith's skin, brighter, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. What's happening to you? He asked, tracing the luminous pathways with his finger. We are connecting, she replied, her voice carrying unfamiliar emotion. This was not anticipated in my research parameters. Tell me the truth, Kieran insisted. What does your people's interest in humans really mean? Nilith was silent for a long moment. There is a division among my kind. Some believe humans should be guided. Others fear you will become a threat. Her eyes met his. I was sent to gather evidence for containment. Containment? The word chilled him despite the warmth of her body. Limitation of your species' development, she clarified. But what I've found in you suggests another possibility. Kieran pulled away slightly. So this, us, is just part of your mission? The patterns beneath her skin flared. It began that way, she admitted. Now I am compromised. My findings will determine the fate of your species, yet I find myself reluctant to complete my work. Because of me? Because you have shown me something unexpected, Nilith said, her fingers tracing his face with that impossible warmth. Your anomalies suggest humanity might ascend naturally, without intervention. Kieran processed this information, understanding the implications. And that would change how your people view us. It would change everything, she whispered. If I can prove it. The chamber suddenly pulsed with alarm, the strange fire flaring violent purple. Nilith stood in a fluid motion, her body tensing. What is it? Kieran asked, reaching for his partially dried survival suit. Others approach, she said, her voice hard with concern. My isolation has been noticed. Your people? An inspection team. Her eyes fixed on him with new intensity. They must not find you here. Kieran felt cold despite the warmth of the chamber. What happens if they do? The look Nilith gave him contained both fear and determination. Then we both become specimens. Nilith pressed her palm against a section of wall, revealing a hidden chamber. Stay here, she commanded. The barrier will mask your presence temporarily. Kieran stepped into the space, which sealed seamlessly behind him. Through the translucent wall, he watched as three tall figures materialized in the main chamber. They resembled Nilith but with colder, more angular features. Their skin patterns glowed harsh blue rather than golden. Researcher Nilith, the tallest one, addressed her. Your communications have been irregular. The storm interferes with transmissions, she replied smoothly. Your energy signatures show anomalous patterns, another stated, moving toward her with a scanning device. Explain. New research methodology, Nilith said. I've been attempting direct energy communion with the planetary core. The third figure circled the chamber suspiciously. We detected an unregistered biological signature. Kieran held his breath as the figure approached his hiding place. The wall grew warmer against his back, Nilith clearly channeling energy to strengthen the concealment. I've been cultivating indigenous organisms, she explained. Their cellular structure may prove useful. The inspectors conferred silently, communicating through pulses of light beneath their skin. Finally, the leader spoke. You will return with us for full report submission. My work is at a critical phase, Nilith objected. The Council requires immediate analysis of all human-adjacent research projects. The timeline has accelerated. Kieran felt cold dread. Something was happening beyond this planet. I require 12 cycles to prepare my findings, Nilith insisted. After tense negotiation, the inspectors departed with a warning, 12 cycles. Then we return with extraction equipment. When they vanished, Nilith released Kieran from his hiding place, collapsing against him in exhaustion. What's happening? He demanded. My people have detected unusual activity in human space, she explained, regaining composure. They fear you're developing faster than anticipated. Kieran held her close. What aren't you telling me? Her eyes met his, filled with conflict. If I submit my true findings about you, it could save your species from intervention. But we would never see each other again. And if you don't? We become fugitives, she whispered. Neither human nor luminary would accept us. That night, as their bodies entwined with increasing desperation, Kieran felt the strange energy between them intensify. Nilith's luminescent patterns merged with his skin temporarily, creating a shared current of sensation that transcended physical boundaries. This connection, he gasped. Is this normal for your people? No, she admitted, her voice trembling. This is unprecedented. Later, watching her sleep, Kieran made his decision. Whatever happened, he wouldn't let her sacrifice herself or her position for him. There had to be another way, one that could protect humanity without losing her. When she woke, he pulled her close. I have a plan, he whispered. But you'll have to trust me completely. Her amber eyes searched his. What you're considering is dangerous. How did you know what I'm thinking? Her hand pressed against his chest. Our energies have synchronized. I feel your intentions. Then you know I won't let you face this alone, Kieran said firmly. Together, we might change everything. Nilith's expression shifted to determination. 12 cycles, she said. To rewrite the future of two species. As they sealed their pact with a kiss, the strange fire in the hearth blazed higher, casting their entwined shadows across the shimmering walls of a chamber that had witnessed the beginning of something unprecedented in the long history of two civilizations. The 12 cycles passed in a blur of preparation and stolen moments. Kieran and Nilith worked tirelessly, combining his military knowledge with her understanding of luminary technology. They modified her equipment to broadcast a specific energy signature, one that would mask the truth while revealing just enough to create doubt among her people. They're coming, Nilith announced, the patterns beneath her skin pulsing with anxiety. Kieran squeezed her hand. Remember the plan. No matter what happens, stick to it. The air shimmered as 3 luminari materialized, accompanied by 2 others wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor. Researcher Nilith, the lead inspector, addressed her coldly. Your isolation ends now. I've prepared my findings, she replied, her voice steady despite the fear Kieran could feel through their connection. The tallest luminary activated a device similar to Nilith's but more complex. "Present your research immediately." Nilith stepped forward, transmitting data through a direct energy exchange. The luminary's patterns flickered rapidly as they processed the information. "This cannot be accurate," one hissed. "Human genetic structures show impossible advancement patterns." "My research is thorough," Nilith insisted. "The specimen I studied demonstrates capabilities beyond our projections." The lead inspector turned toward Kieran, eyes narrowing. "This human? The one you've been hiding?" "I concealed him to prevent contamination of results," she replied smoothly. Kieran stepped forward. "I'm not just a specimen. I'm proof that humans and Luminari can coexist." "Impossible," the armored guard stated flatly. "Show them," Kieran urged Nilith. She hesitated, then placed her palm against his chest. Energy flowed between them, visible now as intertwining patterns of light that merged their separate signatures into something new. The Luminari inspectors recoiled in shock. "Abomination," one whispered. "Evolution," Nilith countered. "What you see is the future, humans naturally developing energy manipulation capabilities compatible with our own." The lead inspector circled them warily. "The council must witness this directly." "No," Kieran said firmly. "I won't be a laboratory curiosity. Take our findings, but I stay free." The tension in the room built until the air itself seemed to crackle with potential energy. Nilith's hand found Kieran's, their combined power creating a protective field around them. "You have two choices," Kieran stated, drawing on everything he'd learned about Luminari culture. "Accept that humanity will join you as equals eventually, or face the consequences of interference." A tense silence followed before the lead inspector spoke. "This changes the assessment parameters. The council must reconsider." What followed was a negotiation unlike any in human or Luminari history, one human and one rogue researcher against representatives of an ancient civilization, determining the fate of two species. Hours later, as the Luminari prepared to depart, the terms were set. Humanity would remain uncontacted but unhindered. Nilith would continue her research, officially documenting the evolution she had discovered. As the inspectors vanished in shimmers of light, Nilith turned to Kieran, her amber eyes filled with wonder. "They accepted our evidence," she breathed. "Your species has time now, decades to develop naturally before formal contact." Kieran pulled her close. "And us? What happens to us?" "I am to continue observation," she said with a smile that transformed her alien features. "With my human research partner." Their lips met as the strange fire burned brighter than ever before, casting golden light across the chamber walls. Between the stars, on a frozen world at the edge of human exploration, something new had begun, a connection that promised to change the course of two civilizations forever. "So," Kieran whispered against her luminescent skin, "ready for some more research?" Nilith's laugh was like music as she pulled him toward their shared bed. "The most important study of all."